Hey there, I'm here with my new friend, Maeli Nelson. Maeli has done over 200 real estate transactions in the last 6 years. And that's like just the tip of the iceberg. Her story is incredible. We're gonna get into all of that. But right up front, right at the beginning, I have a challenge for you. So in the next 10 minutes, I'd challenge you to help me get my first real estate deal. Are you in?
I'm in.
I have a very troubling history with real estate. You sure you're up for the challenge?
I'm up.
All right, let's go. All right, Maeli, so here's the setup. I'm an entrepreneur, business owner, so my taxable income looks terrible because I'm writing off everything that I can, and I have money tied up in lots of different places. So I have very, very low startup funds in order to do this. So you're gonna help me do this even though all of those challenges are in place.
Yep.
Okay, are you ready?
Let's go.
All right, 10 minutes on the clock. Let's go.
Okay, great news. Most everyone that is looking to do creative financing is in your scenario. They're business owners, right? And they have a little bit of money, but not a huge down payment. They definitely couldn't buy a house outright with cash, right?
Yeah.
And usually that's kind of your only option if you're an entrepreneur. You're going, oh, I have to buy this at now cash. Well, that sucks, right? And so, yes, I'm going to help you buy your first
creative
property.
financing.
Yeah.
That's
I know. It sounds scary, but it's not.
Okay, all right.
And the reason
I'm open.
Okay, good. Because the whole point is once you change your mindset around it, right? Knowledge does change behavior. And that's just because you're not going to be afraid of it anymore and you're going to be excited about this.
Okay, great.
That's my goal for you right now.
All right, I'm
You're
ready.
Get excited.
This is for real for me. I'm like, let's go. I've been thinking about real estate forever. I got burnt in 2009, like big time. That's my troubling history. We won't go into that. Anybody that listens to multiple episodes has heard that story.
Okay.
But I'm in.
All right. So the creative financing, the nice thing is that you get to push on 5 different levers to negotiate the right terms that you want. Okay. Normal traditional financing, if you go to the bank and you're like, hey, do I qualify for this loan? They're going to put you in a little box. And if you don't fit in that box, goodbye, right?
Yes.
It is what it is. There's nothing else you can do. Yeah. There is negotiating with the bank, right?
No negotiating.
There is none.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite part is that you get to negotiate the terms that matter to you. And maybe the down payment's what matters to you. Maybe a lower interest rate is what matters to you. But the nice thing is you get to play with those levers, right? And I have a seller financing calculator that I can give to anybody that is listening that wants to play with these levers too, okay? So the first one that you're going to play with is what do you want to put down? What is that payment that you have, right? So let's say you have $10,000. Is that fair?
Let's do 10K.
So $10,000 doesn't seem like a lot of money.
No, not in the grand scheme if we're looking at real estate these days.
Right,
no.
okay.
It's like a drop in the bucket.
And then what do you want to pay for a house? What's the price point that you're kind of looking for?
Oh, I think we could find something, if I'm like rehabbing it a little bit, we could find something at $450.
Okay, perfect. I love that because $450, a $10,000 down payment does actually make sense for me. So that's fantastic. Okay. Now we get to negotiate the term, which is how long you're going to have the amortization schedule. Okay. And so with the bank, normally it's 30 years or 15 years, and then that's what your payment is based on. But in this case, we can play with those term and say, oh, well, we want a 30-year term. Maybe we want a 60-year term to make that payment really shallow, really small. And so depending on what you're buying this property for is why your term should be longer or smaller, right?
Sure.
So if it's an investment and you're like, ooh, I want a rental, then you want that term as long as possible because then your payment's really low, which means you're going to capture the interest rate or you're going to capture the cash flow on that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last one that you're going to be able to negotiate is interest, right? So you're going to, in order, it'll be balloon, purchase, interest, down payment, and term. So all 5 of those.
To be clear, balloon is when it's due.
Right, right, when the note is due. Now, the nice part is right now, most of our nation, I want to say it's like 65% of our nation is if they own a mortgage, they're locked in at a 2.9 to 3% interest rate.
Yeah.
Right? Because of the whole COVID thing. And right? It's not that we wanted to go into that scenario, but the government put us there and now we get to, leverage it, which is a good thing for most of us.
Sure.
So a lot of people are actually locked in at a 2.9% interest rate, which means we can go out and actually leverage that. So many people also need to move. Right? So maybe let's use your house as an example. Maybe you just had a baby, right? Yeah. And you're like, I need another bedroom. I need more room in my house. I have to move.
Yeah.
But I have a 2.9% interest rate. Do you want to move?
No.
The answer is no. And can you go afford an 8% interest rate right now?
Nope.
Probably not. Nor maybe as a business owner, can you afford it? You're not in
Do
that
I
stupid
want
box.
to afford an 8% interest rate is the question.
And also you're in that box, right? You don't qualify.
Yeah.
So in this case, we can actually go find somebody that has a 2.9% interest rate and tell them, cool, guess what? I'm going to take the opportunity and give you only 5% interest. They get to make up the difference. They get to move on with their life, which is fantastic, but you take over their payments. Okay. So that's called the subject to. You're basically taking over their monthly mortgage payments, and that's the contract for the next term of their loan. But you got to create your own amortization schedule with them. You got to create all those 5 things, those levers with them to help them recognize, oh yeah, cool. I'll go ahead, take on my payments. As long as you take over their payments and it's making their mortgage payment, they're not going to say no. They get to move on with their life and they get to go have a new property, right?
Yeah.
Usually what happens is the best case scenario is somebody's about to lose their home.
Yeah.
And right now, because of what happened with the forbearance in the COVID scenario, I am receiving about 450 pre-foreclosures across my desk every single week.
Wow.
And that's just in Salt Lake County. That's not even Utah County. That's just Salt Lake County.
And we're even probably in a little bit of a bubble here. I mean, we typically are.
Yeah.
Meaning we lag. The economy's typically pretty good, and I'm not the expert.
Sure,
You're better than I am,
Yeah.
but from what I understand, our economy in Utah is like pretty much like a little bit insulated from what's going out on. So there's huge deals everywhere else too, probably.
Yeah. So let's make the offer.
In between a little bit better.
Yeah. We're 4
So-
minutes. We got
okay.
4 minutes left.
Perfect. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and pretend like we're going to make an offer for you. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to find someone on the notice of default is probably my favorite way to do this.
Yeah.
They're behind maybe $10,000, right? Maybe it's $6,000 they're behind. So we can give them a little extra because you have 10,000 to put down, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to go to them. We're going to knock on the door. We're going to call them. We're going to leave a little sticky note. We're going to do whatever it is, right? We can email them. We have all great sorts of ways to reach out to these people. And we're going to say, hey, instead of losing your house to the bank and losing all the equity, if you go through foreclosure, you will have that on your name for the next 7 years.
Yeah.
Guess what? You can't go even get a rental if you have a foreclosure on your name. That sucks. Right?
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah.
And so you have to move in with family. That's your only option. Or option B would be me, right? Let me buy this house from you. Let me take over these payments. You're going to keep the mortgage in place. Very crucial. You keep the mortgage in place. I'll make the back payment, right? Your bank's going to receive $6,000 tomorrow, cash, right? To get you caught up. From there, I'm going to take over the payments. The title is going to go into your name, right? And by that happening, now you own the home.
Yeah.
Okay. But the mortgage is still in place in their name, but you have title.
Yeah.
So you picked up a home for $6,000, but if they leave without destroying the home and they do leave with, just gracefully, then you're going to give them an extra $4,000 to get their first and last month's down payment,
Yep.
to get a moving truck, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to say, moving on to your merry way. This is called a subject to.
Yeah.
Very simple.
And so I'm covered, legally I'm
Yep.
covered. I'm on the note
Yep.
of the home. For all intents and purposes, I'm now the owner or the, okay, this is interesting.
Yeah.
So my question is as a busy entrepreneur, how much time does this take from me? Right? Because real estate's not my major thing.
Right.
And so that's part of my concern is like, if I go do this, what should I realistically, I think so many people get into real estate thinking it's just like this passive thing.
Sure.
What's my expectation there?
Well, my thought would be truthfully, I wouldn't be doing it like for you. This is my full-time job.
Yeah.
I have hundreds of people doing this for me already.
Yeah.
So instead, you just say, Maeli, I need a deal. Hey, Maeli, I have 5 on my desk right now.
Hey, Maeli, I need a deal.
Yeah, I got you. There
Okay,
you go.
great.
I got you.
All right.
And the terms vary, right? But that's where it's fun is now once you're like, okay, this is what I have to work with. And you actually come to me and say, I have $60,000 down, right?
Yeah.
And I need this payment roughly. This is what I'm looking for. Or more importantly, this is the cash flow that I'm looking for. A good rental should give you right now in today's market about $400 a month. residually. Like that is a good passive rental. Okay.
Okay.
And so if that's what you're looking for, I'm like, sweet, I got you. Right.
Yeah.
I got you. Like I have 5 of them right now. Reach out.
Got it. So we got 1 minute left.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to wrap this up with, just to make sure that I understand, they understand how I'm going to get this deal into my life, how I'm going to get this real estate investment?
I would say that most of the time, the biggest hang up that people have is like, okay, yeah, but what about the due on sell clause? Like people are like, woo, they get little, leery about that. The truth is your bank already has a due on sell clause on any loan you already have. So they could call that note due at any time.
Anytime.
It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
So let's not spook them. The whole point is to not spook the loan, right? Don't let the lender know. You don't have to legally. It's perfectly legal to do it, and you don't have to let them know. And so your whole purpose is to put it in a trust, right? That's how we'd structure it. And so that the name of the trust is the name of the property name, and then you buy the trust, bada bing, bada boom, there is no due on sell clause that gets notified. So it's very simple.
Got it. I have so many questions, but this was awesome. This is,
Okay, good.
drinking from a fire hose, and this opens up time. So this opens up more conversations than, but I'm so grateful. Thank you for playing along.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Good.
I'm intrigued. I feel empowered that I could do this if I wanted to.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it. Okay. So we did the 10-minute challenge.
Okay.
But I want to follow up with a couple of questions. So one is, why can't these people just go sell the property, be out from, it seems better for them to be able to just not have to deal with it at all anymore, because essentially the mortgage is still in their name, right? So why wouldn't they just go sell the property?
Yeah. So unfortunately, most of the time, these people have waited too long. Right. And if they were to even rapid fire, try and put it on the MLS of some type, right, and say, okay, I'm going to sell this property, it would take at least, by the time you did pictures and by the time you hired an agent and by the time you found somebody to get a loan on this property, you're looking at least 45 days. And I'm telling you right now, they got into this position because they are procrastinators. And so usually we are making decisions within about 5 days.
Wow.
Yep.
That's the private money or the private funding allows that to be nimble, right? And it's just between 2 private parties. It's democratized, so we can move as fast as we need to move. That's amazing. What about the payments? How are you now a bank and you're collecting, or you're sending them payments?
Right.
How does this?
Yeah, that would be a nightmare. So great news. There are multiple companies that do this, but right now the one that we use the most is an escrow specialist company. And their only job, it's a third-party company that title sets up for you, which is great. And you structure it in a way that escrow specialists receive the money from your renters. So you don't even have to touch the money from your renters, right? So they receive the money from the renters, and then they immediately push that money over to the bank, right? And pay the loan. And then whatever is left over, they pay to you. So It's just this beautiful, ecosystem.
All right. My last real estate question is, what does this in the market right now? And I know that this has probably got to vary market to market, but is it even possible to do this deal and sell it? Pretty quickly?
Yeah. So if you're saying, hey, I wanted to fix and flip this instead of traditional holding to it. Yeah. We do this all the time. So depending on the situation, right? Maybe it does need a lot of repair. And that's the other problem too, is you try and push this property on an open market, they've destroyed it usually.
Sure.
It is not pretty.
There's a certain demographic that this is.
Yeah. So it's let's just put it on the open market and see who will buy this for this price point. Maybe not, right?
Yep.
So it does need to be an investor a lot of times, somebody that can move really fast, things like that. But setting parameters of what is your investment strategy makes sense, because sometimes they're just turnkey. They really are just somebody that needs to get out of the situation and they need to get out fast and they don't want that foreclosure on their name. Right?
Yeah.
That is definitely a person that we solve that problem for. But in our real estate industry, my only job is to solve problems. And I think in any sales industry, right? If you're a business owner,
solving problems for somebody, or else I don't think you're making any money.
No, I'm solving a lot of problems, right? And that's it. So it's just figuring out their pain point and then solving that. And sometimes, for instance, I closed on a deal last week, and the guy legit was like, I kept asking, why are you selling? Why do you need to sell? Why do you need to sell by this date? What is it? Why? Because he wasn't in foreclosure.
Yeah.
But he was like, I need to move by this time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but honestly, dude, like,
Yeah.
give it to me real here. Like, I need to know your why, right? Like,
Yeah.
I need to know the juice. And it came to, he needed to move, be closer to his parents, and they're passing away. Like, they're not doing well. And so he needed to move, and he wanted to take care of his family. Like, that was his primary objective. And his only thing that he actually needed was to pay off his truck. Because then he would be in a cash, perspective, or in a monthly cash flow perspective, he could survive without a job if he just didn't have that monthly payment anymore. So I said, how much is your truck? And he said, $17,000. And I said, okay, if I write you a check and pay off your truck for $17,000, can I have your house? And he said, okay. And that was it. Like, that was the negotiation. But it's really trying to figure out who they are and like what they're.
He can go take care of his parents, and he wouldn't have been able to make that sell especially in this market.
Yep. And the cool thing too is for that homeowner, the only, like, yes, they're, obligated for the loan, but if they're not trying to buy a house in the next 2 to 3 years, then why does it matter? Right. And in the contract, it's very clear that if I don't make that payment on time every single month, and there's like a 5-day grace period, that if I didn't make that payment, then they get the house back.
With the equity that's been, yeah.
So it's like, you're not out anything,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's great. Thank you so much for joining us here on Founders League. If you want more of the conversation that you just watched, make sure to use the link in the description below. Also, if this video created value for you, please consider liking it, subscribing to the channel, and even commenting, telling us what you enjoyed about it, what you got out of it. Thanks again for joining us. Until next time, peace.